Hi, and welcome to Amongst the Books, a podcast for kids, by kids, and yes, adults too. My name is S, and I'm happy to welcome you to episode 14, where we are joined by three very special guests, Lauren Davis, Mel Hilario, and Kate Longua, the creative team behind the book, Debian Pearl, Digital Detective. Between giggles and some technical difficulties, we get to talk to them about working as a team in developing a story, infusing coding into their work, and how much they remind our hosts of the Powerpuff Girls. Our hosts had a lot of fun with this interview, so let's dive right in.
All right. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. Today we're going to be interviewing you guys on Debian Pearl Digital Detective, and we're just so happy to interview you guys. And let's get the questions.
So how did you guys all meet in the first place?
Go ahead.
We ended up all working together.
We're all comic writers, and I'm a writer, and we all kind of had mutual friends, and that's how we started working together.
Yeah.
So what inspired you to make this type of book, like a graphic novel book, like the style?
Oh, I knew for a really, really, really long time I always wanted to make. So I've been slowly working at it for over 10 years.
And I think we kind of roped you in.
Yeah. I actually was not a comic maker. I fell into it. I'm a writer, but it's just so much fun to see your stories of life in visual and in art. So it just was an easy sell for me. Once I saw the first comic that I ever made with someone, it was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So I wasn't too hard to look for.
Yeah. I've also been watching graphic novels for a really long time. I sometimes draw comics, but I am not as good an artist as Katie is, and I am very slow. So it was amazing.
Yes, Katie's amazing. Thank you. We're a good team.
For your graphic novel, how did you choose the color scheme for the panels and stuff?
Oh, that's a really good question.
I think it's all Katie.
I thought about it. The setting of the comic is a big city, so I really wanted to use a lot of dark colors and then neons just everywhere. It's based a lot on Tokyo. I have a whole folder of different pictures of Tokyo late at night, and that's where I pulled a lot of different colors from.
Also, don't like pink.
Also, I have a big preference.
Yes,
And blue.
All right.
Why did you decide to put coding inside of your book?
I think that was a request.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think. We got a request to make a book about computer science.
Right.
Because we were talking to Lionforge, who published the book, about several different ideas, and they typically the coding was the one that would be most
Needed.
Yeah, most needed. Yeah.
Okay.
Especially the maybe slightly more accessible towards girls, I feel like.
Yeah.
Was it one that was it an idea that you guys were kind of floating around too in the back of your head, or was it was this something that when you were talking to the publishers that they were like, we really would love you guys to collaborate on something like this?
Well, we had kind of already started working on the setting.
Okay.
Book and a little bit about what maybe the characters would be like, and then they came with the request to also incorporate coding, because we always knew it was going to be some kind of educational book.
Right.
And it just fits so naturally into the world. I feel like as soon as we got that information, we were like, oh yeah, this makes total sense, and it just came along really smoothly.
Right. Excellent. Okay.
Yeah. What is your thought process on making your characters, and how do you come up with all of them?
Oh, that's a really hard question. Oh my god.
I told you, budding reporters.
I feel like we kind of give ourselves a lot of playtime. We kind of go back to Lauren and all of us actually bounce back and forth of what if we put in, what if this person has a frog, or what if this person has a friend who's on this planet, and we just kind of do a lot of collaborating.
Yeah, I feel like it almost starts often as an idea with us sitting together and we're kind of like joking around.
Yeah.
And then usually I'll end up doing a drawing kind of based on what I'm thinking. And then I feel like once that happens, like a lot of the more solid ideas start like forming, because once you can see that character, you're like, oh yeah, and then this happens and that. Ooh.
Yeah, I feel like I know the characters a lot more once you start doing them.
Like Debian didn't have a name when I designed her. It was actually Lauren. You named her, right?
Yeah, it's a great name.
And I love the name Debian Pearl so much. And it feels like so natural, and I don't think I ever would have come up with it.
Yeah, it's perfect. I think it's really important that we have that time to be creative and have it be fun before it's work.
Yeah,
because then the work part is a little more enjoyable. Actually, a lot more enjoyable.
So how long did it take to make the book, and was it quicker because all three of you worked together, or did it take longer because it had to go through 3 different people?
Oh, that's a good question.
I feel like I want to say totally, with 5 edits, about 2 years.
Oh,
yeah.
is that?
Yeah.
That might be true.
Wow.
Yeah, because, I mean, from the very, not including when we just had the character designs, because that would be another time, but I would see, once we started writing the book to the very, very end, I want to say maybe 1.5 years, 2 years. I would say it would go by way faster. I could not do this by myself. There's no way. You would have stick figures and, like, all jokes and no actual content.
For me, so I did all of the art until it was black and white, and then a separate person did most of the coloring. So I spent about 7 months drawing to finish all the art for it.
Katie's amazing. She really knows how to schedule the amount of the art long. It honestly does. That's
On page 141, it talks about how Debian misses someone named Rule. Is there any other like background on that, or was it just like a side plot?
Okay,
Lauren, I feel like
go ahead, Lauren. That's a great question.
We definitely have some background on Ruel. It's not so much in this book, but yes, the 3 of us have definitely discussed Ruel a lot.
Yes.
And what your relationship is with Debian.
Yeah. No spoilers, but definitely they're good friends.
Yes,
and
they're good
we would
friends.
love a chance to include Ruel in the future. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely was a character that was like, I want to learn more about this person. What is this about?
We do too, and once the character is created, part of the fun is watching them kind of emerge. So you start and they start to teach you about them, which is kind of weird, but they really do.
I feel like another character who just suddenly like became a full-fledged character out of nowhere is Dizzy Lizzy.
Oh God!
Yes.
Who also has a single-page appearance. But afterwards, like, we came up with all these ideas for her.
Yeah,
so
we have a whole
plan for Disney Lizzy.
Okay.
So now that more look at it, you guys look like the characters that you guys made in your book. So I just wanted to like point that out and ask you that, like, did you basically base off your characters off of you? Or the personalities, like anything like that?
Oh, well, okay.
Maybe? Yeah, hair color?
Hair color, definitely. The exotic hair colors.
I think it's something that just kind of naturally happens. Like, you just end up putting yourself into your work, whether you're intending to or not.
Right.
For one. I don't know about that. I think Laura and I are going to dig it up about your one. But I think that's true. I think as a creator, you do put a little bit of yourself in your characters. And that's good, because then you can kind of discover a little bit about yourself.
Because in this case, I wasn't really intentionally doing that at all. But I definitely see how it happened anyway.
It's kind of just like a little happy accident in a way.
It's like, you'll often hear lots of artists say that, you know, when they draw pictures of people, often the faces look like their face, because that's the face you see the most. But you see it in the mirror like almost every day, so just naturally when you're drawing, that's what you kind of gear your art towards. It can be a struggle to try and like spread out from that.
Right. No, I understand that. Yes, absolutely. All right, so come on up. Loud. Come on.
Why did you choose a robot as a character for partner in crime alongside with Debian and Digit?
Lauren, you want to take that one?
So that actually came about definitely after we decided that this was a coding book. The first character who got created was Digits.
Yes.
And Digits entered the picture actually before we even knew that this was a coding book.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think that we decided to put in a robot because we thought it would be like a fun opportunity to learn coding by having the robot like basically execute pseudocode. But then as we learned more and more robot, we liked him more.
Yeah.
Decided that he was everybody's best friend.
Yes. Had a lot of fans of Greybot come forward. Norma, as you know.
Yeah, you found yourself rooting for him in the end. You just like you wanted him as your own almost. Like you just wanted to adopt him in a sense. Like that's why I kept looking. Every time I read it, I was like, oh, I love him.
Everybody's my best friend.
Looking back, is there anything you would change to the book, or you like it the way it is?
Oh, that's a really good question too. I haven't thought very much about that.
I mean, now that it's...
I'm actually really happy with how
I
it
am
came out.
too. I am too. We were definitely like finding little things we wanted to change at the end. At the point, you have to let it go to print. Yeah, and kind of like let it fly. Like, go little bird, fly in the air. It's time for you to soar. And, and we had to trust that it was ready to go. And I agree.
The way I think about, I try to think about my art is like once it's complete to just let it go and kind of be at peace with it being complete.
Yeah.
Because if not, you can often get caught in this trap of like continuously wanting to update and make things better. And in this case, it's hard to do because it's a book that went to a printer. But usually, I'm making books on my own, so you know you can change it as much as you want.
Right.
But it's like a dangerous road to go down because then when you have time to make new stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
So, how did you figure out your art style and what fit for the graphic novel?
Ooh. Okay, so art style is a really curious thing because I feel like the best way to develop it is not to focus so much on how you want it to look, but to draw how you draw. And it kind of evolves naturally as you look at other artists and you feel inspired by things. It's almost something that you can't even control that much.
Okay.
And then for the book specifically, I did use, it's a little more cutesier and rounder than how I was drawing before. Just because, like, one, it helped for the time, because there just wasn't a lot of time for finishing everything.
Right.
But also, I feel like it's a good look for the book. I just really wanted, like, kind of bubbly, round, neon, bright thing going on. Yes.
So you said earlier that it was that a lot of it was based off of Tokyo, is right? That's what. So is that like where it's like kind of supposed to be taking place, or is it just like referencing to it, or is it no real set area?
Oh, so the visuals are definitely pretty heavily based on Tokyo, but the location of Megalopolis, which is definitely a fictional city, but it's based entirely on Oakland.
Okay.
Kind of based.
Yeah. And if you look at the very front of the book with the map, if you were to find a copy of the map or the Bay Area on online and laid it right over this,
Yeah.
would exactly be
Oakland,
Alameda, and a little bit of Berkeley.
There's a lot of,
Okay.
there's definitely a lot of Easter eggs for people who are local to the area.
Right. Okay.
how did you come up with the name Meganopolis and other different names regarding the book?
Oh, that's these two.
I feel like it was always called Megalopolis, and I feel like it almost may have been just been like a placeholder name in the beginning.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah. Well, if you look at like Superman's Metropolis, right, which is just means big city, and then mega just means bigger. Yeah, so it just means it's kind of big city. And actually, if you look it up, I tried to tag a couple of things on Instagram. Megalopolis is actually a city in Greece. I didn't know that. Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah. So we didn't know that, but it just means it's just a big city. As far as the other names, I mean, we do a lot of bouncing off each other. Sometimes we just make little jokes, and they're just placeholders, and they end up sticking.
I was gonna say a lot of jokes end up actually in the book.
Norma's name was definitely.
Norma's name was a little bit of an illusion,
reference to Norma Ray.
So the teacher's guide that Lifeworks puts out a teacher's guide actually with this. So if you, even though you guys are students, not teachers, but I mean, if you ever just want to look through it, it'll show you some of the things that actually.
It talks about a lot of the references.
She really got them. I was really pleased with that.
Sometimes if we're stuck on names, we'll just like do some research, and sometimes names will come out of the research. So when I named Debian Pearl, I was literally just looking up computer words. And I think Debian is an operating system, and Pearl is a language.
That's just kind of stuck.
That's so cool. I love how you guys do come. Like I'm always so amazed at how writers are able to come up with some of these names in such a creative way where it's almost like a play on words and a play on the character itself. So, and it's one of the, sometimes it's hidden in a way. So it's always like, it's always fun to hear how you guys are able to do that.
We enjoy it.
Yeah, it makes it fun for us too, I think.
Yeah. We like our jobs.
Who's that? Okay, go.
When reading through the parts where it mentions the cat cafe, how come you need to get a license to own a cat?
Lauren,
So our explanation for why cats need licenses is because in the future, there's a lot of concerns about like the environment and ecology. And letting cats just like run wild has like a bad impact on the ecosystem.
Okay.
So people need to keep licenses so that the government knows that like you're keeping your cat in like an appropriate way and not
taking
letting
care of it.
And taking care of it. And not like overbreeding cats and not letting cats like run wild and kill like wild birds, things like that.
Okay.
Are not so great about licensing their cats. Like I go some of his cats have licenses as well.
Okay, come on in.
I've been doing this recently a lot now.
This
So
is her
to
go-to
answers.
question.
I want to know each and every one of yours zodiac sign.
Oh, okay. I'm a Capricorn.
I'm a Pisces.
Cancer.
Oh, you're a Pisces too?
We got Capricorn, Pisces, and Cancer, I believe, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Capricorn. I love Capricorn.
My sister's a Capricorn.
Same. So my sister Capricorn.
My mom's a Cancer.
I'm a
See,
Taurus.
like I didn't realize how much they were into the zodiac signs until they started doing this, and now they ask everybody, and I'm always just like, okay, let's go for it. This is the go-to question.
We can do Chinese zodiac too.
Yeah, I'm a rat. Chinese zodiac.
I'm a rat.
See?
I think I'm a pig.
I'm a dog.
I believe I was.
I'm a horse. I know that. All right.
All of us are dogs.
We're a giant barnyard of animals over here. Okay. Who's next? Wait,
Have you guys ever fought?
Oh, that's a good question. I would say we definitely. Yeah.
To be fair, we have a disagreement in the alien situation.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
I was gonna bring up robots. We have a disagreement on robot preferences, actually.
Wait, guys, I'm sorry. Can you just get closer to the microphone because we're losing you again?
Okay, let me see if I can bring you up to the edge of my table here.
Okay.
How's that?
I think
We'll lean in.
Point this way too.
Oh,
You can explain the alien situation, Katie.
Yeah.
Oh, we just have a disagreement about whether aliens exist. So I think that in the book, there's a lot of strange-looking humanoids, and I believe that they are aliens.
And I don't.
But Lauren disagrees.
And I'm like, whatever you guys want to do,
Mel
it's
is
okay,
neutral.
but I'm neutral.
So there's give and take, there's compromise, there's... Yes.
And it's good. I think it's good that we don't see exactly the same in everything, because it makes us be more thorough when we write the story.
Right.
That's part of like why we work well together.
But I feel like any disagreements we have ever had about things are really smooth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody disappears and finds like evidence, and they're like, "Look, what we must do."
Yeah. I really want that to be.
Yeah.
Let me just find some back. And then they're like, okay.
Or we bring in someone else as a tiebreaker.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. But no, it's definitely good that we collaborate like that.
Yeah. Well, it's good that you're able to collaborate in such an easygoing way, in a sense.
I see a hand. Hello.
Since you guys mention cats so much and draw them so much, do you guys like cats?
Of
Of
course.
course. I have 2 cats with me now.
I have two.
Oh, yeah? Let me see if I can grab the camera too.
Oh, boy. You're going to make Emily's day right now. I'm telling you right now, bring a cat onto the screen.
It's gonna be a cat party.
Let's see how Maddie's gonna be about it.
Yeah.
Friendlier.
Oh, he's so...
Oh, he's actually being
I will
pretty good.
And he is a 20-pound tuxedo cat.
He's very.
love him. What's his name?
Your friends, boo. He's like, what is going on? Oh, so his name is Montoya. It's from The Princess Bride.
Oh, come on. I love that.
He's a little swashbuckling pirate, that's why.
Yes, he
That's
is.
what my cat looks like when I pick him up. He gets so mad, he stares at me like that.
Okay,
Oh,
he's
there
out,
he goes.
he's out. Okay, bye.
Hi, Neo.
That's my unlicensed cat.
Okay, am I ready?
Why are some of the tech like egg based?
So what did you guys think about the eggs? Does that remind you of anything?
Does it remind you guys of anything?
Apple, Apple phones.
Or like Tamagotchis.
Tamagotchi instead of, yeah.
Yeah. I want to say that was Laura. That was you.
I feel like, I don't even remember how the
Yeah.
egg came about.
I don't know.
It's so long ago. I know that Katie was thrilled when we called it the egg because then she could make it look like a Tamagotchi.
Yeah. And that led to a lot of like egg puns, which I loved.
Yeah.
So
I feel like it works as a really fantastic Apple stand-in because it was just so, like, there's so many fun things to do with it, like omelets
and all the frittata.
all of, I can't remember which came first, the omelet or the egg. But
I want to say technically the omelet.
I really loved all the little like nicknames that Debian was coming up for with egg based verbiage. I was cracking up with that, literally, and there I go, cracking up with that.
Oh, no. I will take it. It was fine. They allowed me to do that. So that's,
Mel is the resident pun expert.
What resources do you, not resources, but like what, I guess, penmanship do you use for like drawing the characters? Like, do you guys use microns or?
So I actually now work entirely digitally. So it's drawn all in Photoshop.
Oh,
All right.
that's cool.
Thank you. Yeah, it just, especially for like such a long project, it goes a lot faster because I don't have to scan pages in
Right.
or clean.
All right.
Are you working on any new books right now?
We are, but I feel like that's probably all we could say.
Yeah.
We can't get a little bit out of you?
Like a part two? Like a part two of this?
Is it a sequel?
Huh?
Is it a sequel?
We have worked on
Yes,
a sequel.
we actually have worked on a sequel. We are hoping to be able to share that, but we are
Bound to secrecy.
we are bound to secrecy. Top secret.
Okay. We'll just have to wait till it hits the shelves.
It's not a question, but I just want to point out that you guys look really similar to the Powerpuff Girls. Like Blossom with the pink hair, and then like the buns and the ponytails.
Buttercup, and then
And then Bubbles.
Bubbles. And then Blossom's the
Blossom
leader.
with the pink hair.
Yes.
That is like the best compliment I've ever gotten in my life. Thank you. That's amazing. Thank you.
I'm just more surprised that these guys know who the Powerpuff Girls are.
Yeah. They're timeless now.
They really are.
Now that we touched upon the focus of like food and stuff like that with the eggs, how did you come up with the like whole Boba Store and everything that Debian went to towards the beginning of the book?
Answer to that either, I think.
I know the answer to that.
Answer it. It might be the same answer as yours. But
Yeah, I would assume. So, a lot of Debian Pearl is based on like old detective stories. And is that what your answer?
No,
is?
but yes,
Okay.
that makes sense.
I agree. And a lot of times in detective stories, there'll be like a bartender character, and we didn't want to have a bar that served alcohol, and so instead we decided to have Debian have like her buddy be a guy who runs a bubble tea shop. And I think I know what you're going to say, but I feel like you need to answer the second part of that.
That is true because we did. This is what we started asking. Like, how kind of weird. Like,
an homage.
We homage to like old detective stories, like Chandler and who else? I mean, just all the old movies with Humphrey Bogart and Lauren Bacall. But also in our old office space, we had a boba tea, a boba tea shop that we used to go to take breaks. So I think that's part of it. It was just kind of the natural insertion in our own life. And we like boba tea. So.
So what was your 3 favorite books growing up?
You go ahead. And I have a long list, but go ahead.
Oh, it's like deer caught in headlights right there.
I know. There's so many.
You could play popcorn and just name whatever. I mean, I grew up on Judy Blue.
My favorite author when I was growing up was Tamora Pierce.
Oh, that's yeah.
But I'm trying to think of also like favorite comics too. She's so hard. I read a ton of stuff.
When I was growing up, I read a lot of the Duran Lance books, which were big fantasy novels.
Yeah.
From the 80s. Yeah.
I guess the funny thing is that I didn't like sci-fi when I was a kid.
I can't even believe that.
At all.
So funny.
But that is just, it blows my mind. But it's like all that I work on now.
Yeah.
It's weird how that happens, though.
Mm-hmm.
Because like you seem to have found your niche with it. So.
Yeah, it's so much fun.
Sometimes you find things late.
I think I realized that sci-fi can be super technical, but also it could just be fantasy, but in space.
Right.
And I was very sold.
All right. We have time for one more question. Because I gotta get these guys to buses and stuff like that, and they gotta get home because it's Friday.
Hey!
Yep. All right. So who has?
What question? Is that okay?
How long does it take your group to plan and like agree on everything, write, draw, and publish?
Oh,
The whole writing process, basically.
Holy
The
smokes!
entire writing process
Pretty much, yes.
and like agreeing without fighting.
Must be hard.
But yeah, about like what actually like happened.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Let's talk about what happens.
Yeah. So basically, what happened is the 3 of us come up with story ideas, and then we try to gather all those story ideas up into an outline. And the more detailed outline, the better, because it's easier to edit things and change things early in the process, before we have a lot of stuff down during the process. And then at the publisher, they have these people called editors who make the book better.
Yes. So they're just a lot. So integral.
And so we'll go back and forth with the editors a couple of times until like we've all agreed on an outline. And usually the editors better in strength than we do. Usually what they say is correct.
Yes. Yeah. It takes a lot of compromising because sometimes editors will say something that maybe you don't totally agree with, but they're the experts. So especially we want to like listen to them, their advice, and not get upset if they say something like contrary to what we're thinking.
Right.
Because they have the right opinions basically all the time.
Almost all the time.
Yeah. And it's good because they're outside the process. Like when you're in it and creating it, you see it from your perspective.
Yeah.
But when someone who's outside of it and sees it as a reader has a very different, which is really helpful.
And then, like, while that's happening, Katie is also doing character design, doing some advice, so that we have a better sense of, like, what everything feels like, characters are, and what the world is. And then we do a first draft. The way that Mel and I work is maybe a little different from the way some people work. I tend to, like, write a skeleton of the script, and Mel tends to, like, follow behind me and make the script good and funny. And then I sort of go back over it, and then once we have a first draft, we send it to the editors, and then the editors tell us our notes, and usually we only do like 3 drafts.
I think 3 drafts is like a good like. By the time you get the 3rd draft, it's pretty solid.
Right.
And then sometimes even before we have a complete 3rd draft, we can start handing off things to Katie. Just as like if we know that certain scenes are like done, solid, ready to go, Katie will take over and then explain your portion of the.
So the art portion goes. It starts with roughs, which is the entire book, all 189 pages, just sketched out, rough as possible. Like sometimes even stick figures.
That's right.
And I always put the letters in too, because then you can read through the entire book, and it's easier with the visuals in to like get a feel of like if there's anything that needs to be adjusted or fixed. And then usually I go straight into inking the book, so the final art. And that's the longest process. It takes forever. And usually there's some other things going on at the same time.
Yeah, usually there's some minor dialogue edits that are happening at the same time, and sometimes you'll catch something that's like not quite working, and then we'll have to go back and put in like a little tiny edit in the script. And sometimes you make pretty significant edits to a
I would
page.
say so.
We thought it was going to work in the script, and then you find out when you draw it, it doesn't work at all. We gotta,
Right.
And then while I'm inking the finished pages, they start going off to the colorist, who adds all the color at the same time to make it a little faster of a process.
So you can see.
And bear in mind, these are all jobs people have. If you were thinking about jobs in comics, these are all really
There's a lot of different stuff.
There are significant parts of making a comic.
And then there's also a separate letterer.
Jotted in. Just the text. So important.
It's always amazing to see how many people it does take to put together a well-crafted book, and especially what you guys were able to put together, bringing in the educational elements and the coding and these such fun characters to read and want to read more about. I mean, this was just, it's great to see how you guys were able to work together in this way to bring this type of book to the masses right now. So
it makes us so happy. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Well said. That's a wrap. No, actually, thank you guys so much for taking the time to answer our questions, because we had many, and we had a laugh, and anything else you guys want to say?
You guys are pretty amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Really good. We love your
Really.
books. Your cat was really cute.
You should make more books in the future. Don't stop. Ever.
Thank you guys so much. We really do appreciate this, and we look forward to all of the books that you guys are working on together, and solo if you are. We can't wait to read what you guys are coming up with.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
All right, and we will be chatting with you again, hopefully in the future.
Yeah, I love that.
Excellent. All right, bye guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. A very special thanks to Lauren, Mel, and Katie for joining us and showing us how, when collaborating as a group, each voice is valuable. To learn more about these three talented ladies, visit the show notes for links to their Twitter and Instagram accounts, as well as websites. To learn more about the Debian Pearl book and other graphic novels, visit onipress.com. That's ONIPress.com. Today's episode was produced by me, Miss S, in the school's library, and thanks to all of our hosts. You can follow Amongst the Books on Twitter at amongstthebooks_podcast and on Instagram at amongstthebooks_podcast. Our theme music was written, performed, and recorded by Jake Thistle. You can follow Jake at www.jakethistle.com or on Instagram at Jake_Thistle_music. Find us wherever you get your podcast and be sure to subscribe. We would love to hear from you too, so please make sure you rate and review us. I'm Miss S. Thanks for listening. You'll be hearing from us soon.